We're talking to Sabre Resources Chief Executive Officer John Dugdale. Sabre Resources is focused on nickel exploration and development in Western Australia. John, can you tell the audience about Sabre Resources?
So Sabre Resources, an ASX listed company, we're focused on nickel sulphide exploration and hopefully development in Western Australia. We've got a major project at our Sherlock Bay up in the northwest Pilbara of WA, and that's where most of our activity is going on at the moment.
How does the company stand out from its competitors?
Well, it's interesting because our competitors are really similar companies that have a market cap at around our level, which is around the 15 to 20 million mark. Now, the big difference between us and other companies around that range is that we've already got 100,000 tonnes of nickel sulphide in resource, and we have advanced projects on mining leases that are currently producing positive indications from our current drilling, which looks like we'll be able to build that resource base in the near future. So compared to our peers, we have a lot of resource already, and we also have a decent amount of cash in the bank and plenty of capacity to do what we want to do.
Outside of batteries and electric vehicles, where has nickel traditionally been used and which traditional industries still need it?
Well, the traditional use for nickel has been in stainless steel. It's the reason why stainless steel is stainless. And up until probably 5 or maybe 10 years ago, that was really 90% of the use of nickel. Now, the demand for stainless steel is still very strong and growing, but the real difference, obviously, is the impact of nickel's use in electric vehicle batteries.
How crucial is nickel for global electric vehicle production, uptake, and consequently decarbonisation?
Yeah, so nickel is a key component of the lithium-ion battery. There's actually more nickel in a lithium-ion battery than there is lithium, and the growth potential of demand for lithium-ion batteries is turning exponential from around 2025 on. So that growth in demand for nickel based on lithium-ion batteries, electric vehicles, etc., is really the key to the growth in demand for nickel as a key component.
So talking about that, Bloomberg NEF predict nickel demands to increase in the decades ahead. So does Australia's chief economist. But I want to get it from you, John. Where do you see the Australian nickel market heading in the coming years?
Well, really, the nickel market in general, globally, is heading for a deficit in supply from 2025 on. There's a component of nickel supply that comes from things like nickel pig iron, which is produced from Indonesia and the Philippines. That's a very high carbon emitting process, and so there's a real push to change to what's called Tier 1 nickel. Now, Tier 1 nickel is mostly sourced from nickel sulphide projects, and Australia is one of the leading producers of nickel sulphide, but we're not going to be able to keep up with the demand. So from 2025 on, there's looking like there's going to be a significant deficit in nickel sulphide supply to the world market.
What's on the cards for Sabre Resources moving forward?
Well, the good news for Sabre is that we already have 100,000 tonnes of nickel metal in resource at our flagship Sherlock Bay project, and that resource is economic at the current nickel price. It does make a bit of money with a project development that includes mining and processing on site. But the real key to it, to make it really fly, is either an increase in the nickel price over a sustained period, which is projected. So we're confident that we're going to see that increase in nickel price over the coming years. But the real key at the moment is to find more high grade at Sherlock Bay. Now, the good news is we've identified potential for massive sulphides below the resource at Sherlock Bay, and that potential is being tested with a current drilling program that's already 2 holes in, and we've intersected significant widths of sulphide mineralisation, particularly in the first hole, which intersected a 50-metre zone of sulphides, including some semi-massive sulphides. That's the stuff that's a bit higher grade. That's the stuff that makes a lot of money. And we did downhole electromagnetics, a geophysical method, to see what we could see from that hole, and we identified a very strong conductor, which indicates we could have massive sulphides very close to that hole. We did a second hole that was already in progress when we did that electromagnetic program. That intersected sulphides at the base of an intrusion. That's the setting for what we're looking for. and we did downhole EM from that hole as well, and we saw the same strong and broad conductor just sitting to the east of those two holes. So we're now drilling a third hole, which is going straight for the centre of that massive sulphide target. And within days, we should be intersecting that zone.
All right, so you've just given away some hints there, but that brings me to, John, where do you see the company in 1 year's time?
Well, Sherlock Bay, our flagship project, we would like to see increased grades through discovery of massive sulphides, which will allow us to upgrade that resource. We already know that the project makes a bit of money at current nickel prices through a project development, but by finding higher grade, we would like to then upgrade those studies to feasibility and look to start the initial steps of developing a brand new nickel project. So that's in a year's time. We have other projects that we're exploring as well. Nepean South has nickel sulphides that we've identified through our RC drilling. It's to the south of the Nepean nickel mine, which is a massive sulphide deposit mined about 30 years ago. So we'd like to see that project advanced as well. And we have uranium, vanadium projects in the Northern Territory that we'd also like to go the first steps. But the key to it's going to be upgrading the resource at Sherlock Bay, where we have a mining lease. We already have a study that shows it makes a bit of money, so we can get that upgraded and be on the pathway to a development project.
Where do you see the company in 5 years' time?
We see everything coming together for the company in 5 years' time through development of the Sherlock Bay nickel project, and we could potentially be production in that time frame. Now, that production time frame would coincide beautifully with the projected deficit in nickel sulphide supply globally. So we would see taking that resource upgrade, turning into a feasibility study, developing a project on an already granted mining lease and delivering tier 1 nickel sulphides into a world market that is dying for more supply.
Sabre Resources Chief Executive Officer John Dugdale, thanks for your time.
Thank you very much.